I think many of us present here feel the world more and more imbalanced, more and more going to chaotic and to extremes. Mm-hmm. And the economic system causes more inequality, and the rich are getting richer, poorer, poorer. And my question is, as we're living on the top of the pyramid, we walk on the streets of Rishikesh with our pockets full of rupees. Is it worth to engage very much in maybe political action, into NGO action, to somehow fight this or try the whole system to get more just, more feeding everybody, because this system is a competition. The fight is getting more and more. Or is it more important to just find my own peace? And this is what you explained, to get more and more this background, to get
Thank you.
Connected and relaxed.
Thank you for a question that perhaps undermines many beings. Maybe they come for spirituality, have these concerns and so on. So we can address some of this. You ask, should we? Even many Westerners have come also here, and we are walking around with much more money probably than local people or whatever it is, and there's an imbalance. There's always been in the world, in the human expression of consciousness, whereby consciousness in its human self-portrait primarily is conditioned in a paradigm that accepts that our earth body is a kind of fact of who we are, and our conditioning makes us who we are, and that these are the facts that we begin with and the world that we live in. So we see sometimes much imbalances depend upon your orientation. If you have eyes to look and see, we're throwing away, we're wasting so much food over here, and people are starving over here. We have so much money here, people have nothing here. We have beautiful big houses here, some people have no house at all. Such imbalances have always been in the human kingdom. I'm not going to go here to talk about right or wrong for the moment. I'm just saying that generation and generation, there have been people who have your view, and there's people who have a view that, yes, we have money and we are just going to make as much money as we can, and those poor chaps over there, well, stuff them, and whatever. There will be always every point of view will be expressed within the human population. We have so many things. And some are working for harmony, some are working for division. Some are working for wealth. I have a different concept of wealth, that wealth is a material thing, it gives you power and so on. And others have wealth to be the quality of life, of inner life, that wealth of peace and happiness and joy and love, openness. Others, wealth will be shared and everybody will be equal, which it has never been on any level, either of peace or of material prosperity or inadequacy. All these things, the human kingdom is completely a virile area of so much movement, and no one has been able to stabilize it. Every now and again, a great leader, a visionary arises on the scene who has these maybe political to work in that arena, and some change come, and maybe very inspirational change, like a Mahatma Gandhi or something here. Also a great sage here and there will pop up, and some light will shine from them for those who are searching for an inner sense of truthfulness and so on. But there has never been a time when there's been an equal stable, peaceful world in that way. And I want to go further to tell you that this world is not an end in itself. It is actually a very alive classroom. It can act as well. It is not any particular one thing. Sometimes it's a classroom in which the consciousness has to learn and evolve and discover itself more than to, when it knows itself, this knowledge, if it's truthful, will be reflected on the way in its outer expression visible in this elemental world. That's how it works, from inside out. When we are true inside, outside will also reflect that truth. But until human beings know themselves as they truly are, as consciousness and not as persons, this duality, these things will continue. And in fact, the suffering, the difficulties on the earth somehow help the consciousness to grow and to become more wise, not only to have the earth to be a success story, but to have them, their own being, to be the success story, which then blesses the earth. As I said before, when the realization of the self arises inside, that conscious recognition, it has the power to bless every aspect or facet of our expression automatically, is touched by it. We have tried to find peace, but it's not the full peace. It's only a piece of peace. When we try to have peace as treaties, things you write on paper, agreements based on economic resolutions, temporary in their effect, it is not true peace. It's only the large population accepts it because they are tired of war. So let's have peace. Okay, we're under any, okay, at least we stop the war. But real peace has to be found inside the heart of a human being. It has to be there. You see? And so contagious it is as well too. Because there have been many great, emperors and leaders and warriors, but the world has not remembered them with much joy. On the other hand, those who have found themselves became a light in the world. If you talk about a Krishna or a Buddha or a Christ or a Prophet Muhammad, they continue to bring a light into the world in the truth of their presence. No one goes to the shrine of Genghis Khan or Napoleon Bonaparte and says, "Thank you for all the peace you brought." It's not like that, because their work was not essentially about peace. Here the focus is on a human being discovering their completeness. It may seem, maybe it may seem to some to be selfish to put your attention on self-discovery, but I feel that it is kind of selfless actually, because you have to go beyond your private selfishness to find yourself. And when you find yourself, you come into a universal quality and state of being. And that one serves the world, in fact. Even if you never leave your village, the light that shines from you affects the spiritual oxygen that emanate from such a soul is feeding countless beings. So I'm not saying one or. If you feel passionately for a certain line of action, then it is consciousness that wants to express in that way. It is consciousness, actually. We are putting this responsibility on people, but that's not really how it is. A human being is not the possessor of consciousness. They're not the applier of consciousness. They're not the controller of consciousness. We are, in fact, at the Homo sapien level, merely the expression of consciousness. You see? So to put this big story as a human being who is doing it is only partially true from a relative standpoint. But from the highest standpoint, it is all the play of consciousness. But then some people may say, but consciousness is not fair. Look what it's doing. Well, sometimes we misunderstand the expression of consciousness. And especially when we call consciousness God. Then, oh no, how could God do such a thing? We misunderstand. No one can comprehend the might, the power, the infiniteness of the Supreme Being. While we are partial or living in a relative identity, you have no chance of having an understanding of the Absolute. So it's a big mix-up that begins to get some clarity as we go inward, not through studying books and so on, but by going into the book of your own being. And then insights are revealed. Because the Supreme say, you can get together your wisest men and women and from all the kingdoms on earth, get them together, and they cannot fathom or recreate one moment of my reality. But if you love me, I am all yours. And through this love, I will release wisdom in you. That is the Supreme. You cannot figure it out. It's an arrogance we cannot. We can only come in harmony with it. And that is our way into true existence, in fact. Because the one who truly realizes and awakens to the truth in themselves sees that it's the same truth manifesting in all bodies, and will relate to all beings from that standpoint, and not one of differences, but of harmony. It's a very different thing, you see. Because when a human being is only aware of themselves as ego, as conditioned being, we are very afraid and insecure and selfish. And our reflex is to destroy what feels challenging. But in one who is awake, the reflex is not to destroy, but the reflex is to love and to harmonize, to bring together and to make whole. And these two roads bring different fruits. These two trees bring different fruits. We cannot be such an evolved species while we have this conflict, while we are still killing each other senselessly over material things. It's just the collective karmic result is just unbearable. But always, human beings, we have a chance to find out more about ourselves. Sometimes wars themselves compel us to find a deeper truth. Nobody can figure. So wise is the actions, the energy, the intelligence of the Supreme Being, that were it not for that, this world cannot survive on the efforts of human beings alone. We make a mess. Only those whose lives are combined with some greater understanding can really emanate enough light to come out of these dark ways. You see? So I accept that there are compassionate beings who feel these things, but if you feel only that, then at some point you yourself would need help. You will burn out. It will become overwhelming, overbearing for you. You have to be combined with a higher force. So it's best we get started at looking inwardly using the guidances that come through meetings like this to find the higher truth, because each man is going his own way, does not create a harmony in that way. The ego relishes the idea of personal choice, but his personal choice is rooted in selfishness and fear. How can it ever produce such good results? Man likes to look good on paper, but in reality, if his actions are not springing from his heart, the fruits will be bitter. But what I'm speaking is not a hopeless thing. It's full of love and openness and new possibilities all the time. Because this world is not cursed. It's greatly loved. And there's great love even in the midst of huge suffering. The light of love and peace has not vanished. Those who have the yearning inside their heart, they do find it. And find it with greater profundity and intensity than we will know when we are comfortable. When man is too comfortable, he goes to sleep in his being. We seem to need trouble to exercise our powers of discernment and the spiritual muscle necessary to elevate ourselves into higher states of consciousness. The evolution of man must be higher states of consciousness. It cannot merely be, technological advances. It has to be to a higher state of consciousness whereby we are functioning as instruments of love and not of differences. If we feed on our differences, we'll all go blind in a very short time. We are blind enough as it is. But because in our heart is the divine pulse, this is our way out of mischief. But we have to be humble enough to seek help until we can go beyond the need of help. Man's greatest enemy is himself, his own arrogance and ignorance. But at the same time, happy are they who come to see this world as a play. I share many things you say, but the fruition of them will not come just by blood, sweat, and tears. They have to come through intelligence and real, genuine openness and a will, a determination to change at the heart level, not merely at conceptual levels. Because the mind of man is full of deceit. Until he is combined with the supreme power, his efforts are wasteful. All our energies seem to be poured out only to conquer, seemingly, in the realm of relativity, of impermanence. That is a foolishness. We have to fight and find and make our expeditions into the timeless. That is the higher intelligence. If everything you're seeking is bound by time, and even the body you need to enjoy it belongs to time, then it is a selfish generation. You'll only leave behind on this earth your architectural footprint and not the vibration of your heart. We don't need toys. Concepts are enough of a toy. But understanding is the wealth of the human species. Understanding and the evolution of consciousness towards its source. That is the inner technology. That is the real advancement. And everything you do, you leave a legacy of something very beautiful for those who will follow.